What's going on, guys, and welcome back to episode number 28, you goddamn scoundrels, of the Staincast. Of course, as usual, I don't need to even say it anymore. It's Steven and DL.
Yeah. If for whatever reason you guys are new to the channel or new to the podcast, you know what to do. Well, I ain't gonna bore you with it. It's subscribe, do all that.
He's already saying it now. Well, of course, welcome to this.
We're getting it out early.
Yeah, we'll get it out later too. Don't worry. Of course, we are the podcast. We like to discuss movies and the such. This week, of course, on the docket, we are talking about a movie that I skipped over when it first came out, but I'm glad I watched it this past summer, last night in Soho. But before we tap into that, we're going to talk about a couple of things. First off, we don't have much to say about this, but James Gunn, Peter Safran, and DC/Warner Brothers released their half of their
Discovery.
/ whatever the fuck. They released their half of their 8 to 10 year plan. What they plan on coming out. It's for me and DL, we're not too interested in it. It honestly, when James Gunn was talking about it, it wasn't making too much sense. How like some things are staying, some things are not. I get Flashpoint, Rebirth, whatever the fuck they're trying to do. It's what is going to happen. But it's like, how the fuck is Zachary Levi or fucking Ezra Miller keeping their jobs, but Henry Cavill's out?
Yeah. It's so weird because like he was trying to frame it where he's like, oh, he wasn't fired, he just wasn't hired or something. But I'm like, but he was in the end of Black Adam as Superman, so that makes him Superman. Mm-hmm. So what? Another thing, I think he said that The Flash was like the greatest movie he ever saw, right?
One of, yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously consider the source here, guys. It's the fucking CEO or whatever. Yeah. So of course he's going to be saying stuff, but like, I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way. It's like, just say Shazam's the greatest movie one of the greatest movies you ever saw, and just leave it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not with DC's track record. I'm not too thrilled. Again, James Gunn, he might be. He plans on completely rebooting, resetting, whatever the fuck. But I don't know. I need to actually see something, see some casting. Like just hearing these names and dates isn't doing anything for me. I need to actually be shown something before I get anywhere near excited, because DC's track record over the past 10 years is awful.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
The only thing go ahead. I was going to say the only thing that I will take away from that is we have an official date for Batman 2, which cool. It's in 2025, which means that in 2025 we're getting Fantastic Four, Kang Dynasty, Superman, and Batman Part 2. So that's
fucking
ridiculous.
Crazy. Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It's looking like that's going to be another 2018.
Yeah, I'm sure that was an accident. That they're putting all their they're starting it.
Heavy hitters in with the Fantastic Four and Kang Dynasty.
We'll see how that plays out, but I don't think that's. I mean, like obviously you have to compete, but I mean, not with Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty.
That was Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty. That's ridiculous. Like those movies, like Ant-Man, which comes out in fucking 2 weeks, by the way. Ant-Man's about to set up
tickets. I gotta get tickets.
We haven't either, but our theater is fucking never packed. We could buy tickets the day of. Fine. What was I just saying? Oh yeah, Kang Dynasty is literally setting up directly into Kang, Quantumania is setting up directly into Kang Dynasty. Like I don't know why. The Batman I get, because the Batman's going to do good regardless. That movie was phenomenal, and people are excited for what comes next. I don't know why they're literally lining up Superman in July, which Kang Dynasty will probably still be in theaters.
So, like, here's my thoughts on is, like, they're still exactly where they were under other leadership because Marvel's still doing their thing. Like, at this point in 2025, like, when we get there, Marvel's going to have all the kinks ironed out. Like, right now, they're obviously going through a lot of, like, quality control issues.
We're going to be at the end of the second saga.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like they're at the same spot because, like, it depends on your point of view on it. But for me, here's how I see how I'm going to see it. It's like, you see Fantastic Four, and it's like, all right, so like they even said, it's not really going to be like a whole origin story kind of thing, because like obviously we've seen enough of that, and we're gonna have fucking Kang Dynasty. We're just gonna have like the lead up from the other movies then too. Like there's gonna be a lot moving pieces because like obviously we're not just gonna be in Secret Wars. Like we're gonna have like every movie. It's gonna be the same shit with Phase 3, where it's like everyone's all of a sudden they're all coming together in Infinity War, and then we're getting a fucking Superman intro story. It's like it's just so like I said, you have to compete, but like, it's just the pacing on it feels so weird. Where it's like Marvel's once again gonna be printing money,
They
and
still
they're
are, with all their kinks that they have.
Yeah, like they're going to be printing even more money, and DC still hasn't even gotten their feet off the ground. And like these movies that are coming out in the next year or so, it's like if these movies are bad for DC, it's like what for someone who's not like us, where like I'm going to see it. Like if it's not in theaters, I'm still going to see the movies because it's fucking DC. Obviously, like as much as I hate on them, it's their fucking childhood. So I mean, I'm going to watch it. Unfortunately, exactly. At least if there's interesting characters, and I'm not saying I'm just going to watch any of the stuff. But for Superman, I have to. I have to watch it. Exactly. Yes, like of course I have to watch it. But like if these next couple of movies for DC aren't good, which I mean I don't think they would be.
Our lineup for this year, it's also kind of sickening because like our lineup for this year consists of Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2, and then we have nothing for 2024.
Yeah, I don't know. Some don't seem right to me about that.
That's a good look.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. It just seems weird. Like, I don't know. Obviously, it's got to get some footing before I can say, like, if it's relevant or, like, if it even makes sense. And I got to see some castings, of course. I mean, the Superman casting, people are going to be, it's going to be.
That's all I need. I need to see what's going on.
It's just tough because they've written themselves into a corner because, like, they could legitimately get, like, the greatest actor of all time as Superman, and it's not Henry Cavill. Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's so difficult. It's like, obviously, I'm going to voice, like, obviously it sucks that people are so on their ass about it, myself included, but I mean, it's fucking Superman. Like, Henry Cavill is Superman. Like, he did such a great job as the character, and I don't know. It's going to be hard to turn that page and be like, all right, on to the next origin story of Superman.
It's tough shoes to fill, especially when you're coming off of him just returning and all that. I mean, DC's been a mess. It's continued to be a mess. We need to get more of. I need to see it. Like literally, I just need to see what's going on in order to get. I do like the idea that like I will say, out of all of this, I do like the idea that James Gunn had that they're going to have all of their characters hopping between video games and movies and TV shows, and they're all going to be played by the same actors in the same continuity. And then anything that's not, like the Batman, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and Teen Titans Go, is clearly labeled as an Elseworld. I like that. I wish Marvel would do more of that, which I think they're kind of doing with all of their Elseworld stuff being animated, like What If, Spider-Man Freshman Year, and X-Men 23 or X-Men 93. But besides that, I need to see what's going on in order to know anything about this.
Absolutely, exactly. I'll hold my praise or lack thereof for I guess 2025. But
it was in fucking 2 years.
It's just the same place I was in when Marvel released their slate. But the thing is, like, I have so much skin in Marvel's game, unfortunately, that like I'm willing to wait. Well, willing and like. I mean, it's not like it's coming out any earlier, so like I have to. But it's like when I saw the Marvel slate, it's like, damn, man, 2025. It's like, can we get it now? Like, I'm sure everyone feels the same way, and this is not how things work. But I mean,
but at least we know how Marvel builds up their stories. We know how, like, and yes, like you said, they're having kinks, but we know that they will work them out because Phase 4 is exactly like Phase 1. They're just trying to rebuild and restructure. Get it into what we have, and that's why I am excited for something like Quantumania, because it looks like they're finally putting huge steps towards it.
Yeah, and just the lack of news when it comes to like their TV shows. Like they're really kind of going hush hush with some of those TV shows because like I feel like they're like people are just getting super tired of like every 2 days we're getting like, oh yeah, this character from this random show is getting their own show. It's like not necessary. Put them in a movie with a whole bunch of other people, and if people like them, then they get a show or something like that. Like I don't know. I'm not a fucking creative director.
They're finally looking at and trimming some of the fat in what we're getting. But I digress. That's enough about that. We spent too much time on that already. I guess we'll talk about The Last of Us. Just brief. Yeah, that episode was fantastic.
What'd you say?
I said the episode is fantastic. I don't think it's one of the best episodes of TV, like people were saying. but the story that you felt in, like, it was heart
Yeah,
wrenching.
absolutely.
Like,
Like as a
they took a side character from the game and turned them into like this whole elaborate story that you
yeah.
really felt, really enjoyed. I don't know, it was really,
I'm,
really well done.
I mean, it makes more sense, right? For like the drama series, like for a video game, it makes sense to have this kind of stuff going on. But like when you're in like a drama series or something, it's like I'm not necessarily mad at that version of Bill. Where it's like obviously I know some people are complaining like, oh yeah, we get all this character build just for him to be dead and they never meet him. But it's like they don't have to meet him. It's like we're seeing him.
Yeah, we
Like
literally we saw his character development, and technically, fucking Joel already did meet him,
yeah,
but
it's
it's
just
like,
Ellie.
yeah, which we don't need that. He didn't really
Yeah,
like him interacting with Ellie in the game didn't really mean much.
it's like
We don't need that
you're telling me people would rather see a fetch quest for an entire episode compared to like actual fucking like
character
gripping.
development.
Yeah, exactly. It's like even though Ellie and Joel weren't in it as much, there was still a lot of very like fucking good scenes between the two of them. Like
Hmm.
even towards the end, like there's still a lot going on. Like even if it's not the previous two episodes, which it just can't be because they were only on screen for like a quarter of the time, it's still very good. I'm still very like every TV show is always going to have like those one episodes where it's like, all right, this is just straight exposition dump, or it's like, all right, it's like when you're watching it as a full thing, it's not going to be as deep because you're going to have the finale. Like right now, it's just hard to have like basically like a slower week for it, especially when the first two episodes were that good. Like at some point, it had to come down to earth. That's just the reality of
But
it.
still, this episode was still fantastic, and the
Oh,
story that they told
absolutely,
done really well. And like you said, with the
definitely.
cold opens,
No, they're fucking amazing, and their flashback of like the way they use flashbacks in the show is like fucking amazing. Like they do a great job with it.
um, yeah. But we don't want to spoil it, and like we already said previously, this is definitely on the list when we finally cover TV shows of
Absolutely.
something we cover.
Yeah, exactly. See, the episodes this last episode was an hour and 25 minutes, so hopefully they keep that. Like, I know they're probably depends on the story. Like, I don't need them all to be super long, but I definitely do enjoy the longer episodes because, like, we really do get we got that whole story with Bill, like his entire life basically in quarantine,
Yeah,
and you still have Joel and Ellie still have some really
well,
good moments with each other. It's like
in the
that's
beginning,
pretty fucking. That's all you can really ask.
yeah, definitely. Like I'll appreciate. Like I'm glad like episode 2 wasn't that long because it didn't need to be. I'll definitely take longer run times when needed, but I also
Yeah,
like sometimes I just don't have the time to sit around and watch an hour and a half episode.
yeah,
But anyways, I guess we'll just scoot right along into the actual movie now. Last night in Soho, this was
yeah,
DL's
yeah.
first time ever watching this.
Correct.
This was only my second, so it's not too much more, but I've at least seen it. I knew what I was expecting. Definitely picked out a few more details. But I guess we'll just start off with DL. What are your first thoughts about it? Any questions? Any thoughts you want to say? Just whatever you got.
Yeah, so like I went into this pretty like I didn't do too much research. Like usually when I'm like watching movies for the first time, I'll try to get like a good like grasp on what's going on because I mean, if you watch a movie and it's trash, it's like all right, you just wasted exit like 2 hours of your time. But it's like obviously you said to watch it, we're gonna do it, so I'm like of course I'll watch it. I didn't look too much into it. I didn't realize the director is the guy who did fucking Hot
Edgar Wright.
Fuzz and yeah, who did Hot Fuzz and fucking Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is literally one of my favorite zombie movies. I fucking
Shaun of
love
the Dead
that
is
movie.
ridiculous. So
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, I fucking love their whole flashbacks in that movie. Their whole fucking a good, great movie. But back to this movie. I won't fucking bore you guys with that. I didn't realize he was the name of the director didn't even come to me. And I looked it up. I was like, oh crap, he did all these movies. So then I was 100% sold on it. But the one thing I was surprised about is kind of like after watching those movies, there really wasn't like. I mean, it's okay that there's no comedy in it, but like there really wasn't that same level of like comedic element that I feel like he's so good at. Like I know I rag on comedies all the time, but like I'm talking about more comedic elements, not the genre itself.
Yeah, no, this was straight. This is a straight
Yeah,
just thriller,
very serious. Yeah,
mysterious movie.
and I wasn't mad at that. I was just like, it's like I said, after seeing that he did Hot Fuzz and Sean Dead, I was like, all right, it's gonna be serious a little bit, but like you're gonna have a quick joke in here and then, like all that stupid banter and stuff.
But
But there
no,
really wasn't that much banter at all. Yeah,
no, there were a couple things which I'll get to when we go into like the quotes and stuff like that.
yeah,
But this movie is very very serious.
yep, Yeah, I mean the runtime is. I mean, like first, like kind of just first glance, like anyone would normally do when you're looking at a movie. The runtime is fair. It's like an hour and 52 minutes or something like that. So definitely very watchable. The cast, the cast is very good. It's got
Anya
Anna Joy,
Taylor-Joy, Matt Ryan, not Matt Ryan,
Matt Smith,
Matt Smith,
the goat, the fucking goat.
Crispy Matt.
hmm
Yeah, those are
And that
the
one girl, and the main character that I saw her in something else, but
Thomas and Mackenzie.
yeah,
She's in old. She's in a couple of like British TV shows and stuff like that. Um, but I'm surprised we haven't seen more of her yet after this because I think she
yeah,
did pretty well, acting wise in this movie. Character wise, we'll talk about that
yeah.
in a little bit. I guess we could just talk about that now with our favorite and least favorites.
Okay. Yeah, so this one's tough because like it kind of is two main characters with Eloise and Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, if I had to give like my favorite, I want to give it to Jack just because it's Matt Smith, completely unrelated to the character, just because like just the way he carries himself and his like the smug look he gives is
of him in the bar is fucking me at all times.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like his smug fucking looks are ridiculous, man. It's so good. Like it's just the way he acts. Like it's just something about like he's obviously a seasoned vet, so he knows what he's doing. But he's just whenever he's on screen, and he's just always so captivating. Even though he literally is like a pimp scumbag, like an absolute dirtbag. But
that's a good thing that the villain is able to capture you that well.
yeah, I mean, like I don't want to give it to Sandy because like yes, she's right for being like all right, they deserved it, but like
She also
I don't know. Yeah, but she also murdered them. It's like
she murked them motherfuckers.
it's like they deserved it, but I mean, like I don't know. I think that's definitely a little bit of a gray area, which I do like because I mean, I do like I always do enjoy like imperfect characters, like the idea that like like a character in a movie can be like nothing that she does no wrong is preposterous. So like I do like that, but I mean, just stop dancing around. I mean, I give it to what's that guy's name? The Herb Mans or something by the end of the movie. Fuck, what was his name?
John.
John. Yeah, I wasn't mad at John. John was like the only sane person in that entire fucking movie.
He was just trying. He was like Eloise. First off, props to him for fucking sticking by that whole time.
Yeah, and I'd be off that, bro. I smell crazy from a mile away, bro.
But props to him for sticking to that. But like, yeah, he was like, all right, what the fuck's going on? And the fact that he just like played along with it just made it even better. He's just like, all right, I guess so.
Yeah, like, I'd probably give him my favorite character just because he's like the only level-minded guy in the fucking movie. Like, I feel like everyone else is just like that one, the classic girl who's bullying just for the sake of it. Literally, like textbook high school getting shoved in a fucking locker type stuff. Like, so played out.
Because we need that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so played out. Like, whether it happened or not, I've seen it a million times.
The other girls that are the bully's friends, but then at the end of the movie, it's literally just the same like.
They're singing their congratulations to her now that she's big. It's like, oh wow, we never seen this.
Exactly. It's like, oh, we know exactly what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, again, I think
it's just tough in general because there's not.
I'd give it to either Anya or
yeah,
Matt.
Yeah, like acting wise, yeah, I agree.
I'd give it to one of them, but like actual character, I like their development. Like. No character really gets. I mean, I guess Sandy in the end. I guess I'll have to give it to her because she gets the most developed at the end, where she kind of like realizes her wrongs, per se, even though she's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's like again, like you said, it's a morally gray area that it's interesting that they discussed it, but they also didn't bring it up until the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, like the movie. I think it was good, but I did enjoy like some of the horror themes to it, but like it really couldn't tell if it wanted to be like super scary with like those miscellaneous guys that are just like faded. Like I like
guys.
Yeah, like I like how it gets represented, how it's like, oh, there's just been so many guys, but she kind of just blurs their face all into one and that kind of stuff. But then being like zombies was kind of like I get it, but like it's kind of like, is it necessary for the story for them to be zombies?
It was definitely a little odd at points the way that the
it should have just been like a drama thriller, not like a drama horror or whatever it was like tagged as.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I mean, I definitely think that. How do I want to word this? it's more the supernatural elements. Oh Jesus, sorry.
Jesus.
The supernatural elements and like how they're used throughout, or how it's used in the story, is kind of what is confusing to me at points, because like
Yeah.
is this stuff actually happening? Are
Yeah.
they imagining this happen? Like I do like the going back and forth once we find out that Sandy is the old woman, like
Yeah.
going back and forth between Sandy and her. But just in general, like the like you said, those like the zombie men chasing her and like
Yeah.
actually being people. Like maybe that it's not supernatural; it's just what she's envisioning.
Yeah.
But some of them touching her and like I don't know, it's very confusing at points.
Yeah. I think they could have really just solved it by being like, oh yeah, like I just drugged you the entire time you were living in this house or something. So like it kind of just makes it like, all right, whatever. She was like messed up
Or
on something. Like
hallucinating these things, or
yeah, exactly. But like when you have, I mean, we'll get into it later. But like the whole like dreaming thing was weird. Like it made sense until they had that one part with the hickey that I guess we can talk about later. But I just think that was a weird thing
it
for the
made
only
sense
thing
at
to
the
carry
beginning.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I
I
guess
don't. I don't even know who my least favorite character would be. It would probably just be
it's just the stereotypical bully girl. I don't even
yeah,
remember her name, nor do I care. Jocasta, I think.
yeah,
I'm
the
pretty
typical bully girl, and probably just that one like that one copper, like that one cop or whatever it
Lindsay.
was. Yeah, because he was kind of just like he kind of didn't amount to very much. Like I think the dying scene was kind of cool. Where like, oh no, he used to work for the cops. Like, oh, he's not freaking Nick or
Yeah.
whatever it was, Jack. Yeah. So I think that I think it had really good like individual scenes. Like I feel like almost like watching it through maybe through like a highlight reel or something, it would be more impactful because like you're not sitting there through the entire time. Like it goes really quick, but then there's sometimes where it just drags its feet. I think is the best way to say it. Where, like you'll have like a 5 to 10 minute period where it's like, holy crap, like we're really pushing boundaries here. We're really pushing forward, and then we kind of just go back to like being like, oh, we're back here again.
So I think that the movie probably could have taken a good 15 minutes out of it, made it more closer to like an hour and a half, and then made the plot twists come not sooner, because I think in the last like 20 minutes is a good place to put the plot twists.
Yeah,
But they're leading you up to think so much of this. First off, I was going to bring this up in the AI, but we're already talking about it. Is just why didn't Lindsay reveal himself as a cop to begin with?
yeah,
But it's just like all the signs end up towards the end pointing towards Sandy and what is her name? Miss Cassie?
Miss
Miss Collins.
Miss
Sandy and Miss
yeah.
Collins being this, like it points to it at the end. Like,
Yeah,
but nothing else points to that until the very end.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they would have, like, I get that they're trying to put the aspect of, oh, she didn't die, she
Yeah,
did die, so that's like, so of course it can't be her. But you go from her getting Sandy getting killed to revealing that she's Miss Collins literally within 10 minutes.
yeah. Then dies within that
Yeah.
same 10 minute period. Yeah,
So there's not much time to develop the mystery of, oh, Miss Collins
yeah,
actually is Sandy, because you find out Sandy dies, then she goes to the cops, then she meets Officer Lindsay, and then she finds out
yeah.
that's like it literally is just all in one like
It's
10-minute span.
it's like I was saying. I think I figured out a better way to say it. It's almost like if you looked at the storyboard, like the whole like you put it on paper, and you kind of just got like the main points of like what happened throughout the movie. I would say it's a very good movie, but then like it's that in between point.
It's
Like when
getting
you're
from point A
yeah,
to B. That's what it like is a little. It's like instead of going from A to B, we're going from A to A.1 to
yeah,
8.2, like up and down before we get to
yeah,
it's not a straight line, which is again not necessarily a bad thing
yeah.
if it's done properly.
Hmm. But I mean, I guess moving on then, because like when we get to yeah, it's I think when we're really going to be freaking chatting a little bit more too, because
Yeah.
I have a couple. Um, what was it? Oh yeah, so I guess we can just go into some of our favorite scenes or some of our least favorite scenes.
Yes, make or break moments. I mean, like I said, I think that, and we were talking about this beforehand. Is the cinematography in this movie is done
Yeah.
really well.
No,
It's
I love the movie shot. Like it's very euphoric. Like it's very like it does a great job of like capturing that like that kind of like false nostalgia. I guess is the best way to say it. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's like oh, it's like everything was better back then kind of idea. But then when you go back, it's like, wait a minute, no, it really wasn't. Like you have the
Also think the colors are done really well in this
yeah.
movie. How you see like when Sandy's in the club and she's dancing and she's like you're doing this, and then when it turns to like the really dark gritty of her bringing these guys to her room, like the coloring is done really well. The
Yeah.
shots are done really well when they mirror either Sandy and Eloise, or just when they mirror anything or any of the two characters. And like I was saying before, between Miss Collins and Sandy, like anytime they like those type of edits or shots are really good. And what really makes me enjoy watching the movie is that they are throughout the entirety of it, despite those story issues that DL and I were just discussing.
Yeah, like it uses a lot of good colors. Like the coloring is very good. Like talk about
Very
like explain.
vibrant when it needs to be, and very dull when it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like the color selection for this movie is very well. Like they really he can really tell like the story's being told through the colors and through like just the overall like camera angles and stuff. I like
Even
that.
just looking at the movie poster or the thumbnail for this video, if you're on YouTube, the drastic in the colors and the flashing blue and red lights that are in her room and stuff, like they're just used so well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I guess pinpointing out specific scenes themselves, I think the whole introduction to Sandy scene, which was the scene that we used for the teaser reel, is done really like I think it's really well. You get to see her personality, you get to see Jack's personality, and then you kind of see how they both deteriorate throughout.
Yeah, I do like that. I mean, I do like that they do a good job at like that little switch between and like kind of like her dreams like kind of like leaking through like with that one dream she had where she woke up and then she wasn't actually awake, she was still sleeping, and then like the guy like put his hand on hers or whatever, wasn't scared shit ever, then she actually woke up. Like I do like I said, like I love the way the movie's shot, and I think on paper it's like the story actually is very good. It's just like they just kind of like get a little lost on their way of telling the story sometimes. Like I feel like they just inject too much like it's obviously it plays a role in her whole like fucking manic episode and stuff, but I don't think the whole thing with her mother was very necessary. Like obviously it's the whole story about it was tragic. It kind of gives her like that background level, like all right, so she kind of has like
some trauma in her.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Like I understand that, but then like seeing her in the mirror, it's like, why are we seeing her in the mirror? No, not explained. We see her at the end again, but then we see Sandy at the end again. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot that's not explained.
Yeah, which is fine, but like I just wish it would have been a little bit more like understandable then. Where it's like I'm not asking you to explain, just make it consistent.
Consistent, yeah. Another one is I would say the reveal scene at the end when we find out that Miss Collins is Sandy. That is done really well. It's because you have Officer Lindsay saying the whole time, ask Alex, ask Alex, ask Alex, and then she's flipping through the mail which says Alexandria on it.
Yeah, I saw that too. I appreciate that they gave us a chance to know for ourselves. Then we saw it again.
It just wasn't long enough of a chance.
Yeah,
because you're sitting there and you're like, oh, when we probably could have gotten a lot more hints to point at what was fully going on.
Like kind of maybe like that picture in her room. Maybe we saw it for like a split. Like just like I think it should have just been more built up compared to just being like kind of just getting like exploding all at the end, like literally exploding at the end.
Yeah,
but it was great. It's just like I said, like it's just the getting there that was a little rough sometimes.
Yeah, it was a good reveal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it came too quickly compared to when we got any of the other hints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I did like as much as I said I wasn't like kind of like super interested in like the guys being zombies. I do like those scenes were like they did a great job at like the kind of like feelings that Sandy was feeling where like she's just literally like she can't do anything, like she's literally just freaking helpless. Exactly, no, exactly that's the best way. Like she's helpless, like, and they do a great job with that, like kind of just personifying and stuff like that. I do enjoy it. It's just that like them like bursting through the ceiling and set floor and stuff at towards the end, like it's weird. Then Sandy gets slapped by freaking what's his name, Jack, like not really but actually because it like stops her. It's like it's interesting. Like I think maybe the movie should have been longer. Maybe we're looking at it from the wrong way. Maybe we should have had more time to see some of these characters. Like I could see both ways. I'm not even sure. I'm more asking where it's like maybe the movie should have been longer. Maybe we should have gotten more time with. Maybe we should have gotten more time in the '60s compared to just like we kind of started with her, and then all of a sudden like within 30 minutes like we already see her getting killed or something like, or see her getting killed.
Yeah, there was a lot of it was like 45 minutes in the beginning, which is just Eloise, or maybe it was more like a half an hour.
Yeah,
but it's a significant chunk of time in this short in a movie this short that's dealing with I guess yes, characterizing Eloise, but not in any much of an impactful way to the story, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Like all the stuff that we found out about Eloise could have been done in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not even.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's just a lot. I mean, like,
it's just a lot to unpack for a movie that like could have been a lot simpler and still had that same message be told. I think.
Agreed.
Like it's a very ambitious movie, and I'm not gonna fault a director for being ambitious because like that's kind of how like you get your foot. I mean, like he doesn't need his footing; he's had it. But like you know what I'm saying, where it's like that's kind of how you get your name out there, is being ambitious. Like this kind of strikes me as more like kind of like a director's first work, where like they're just tossing shit at the wall until something sticks, trying to like get there freaking 15 minutes, which is fine. But I mean, for a director this established, it was a little messy, I think.
And I will get to this, of course, later when we're talking about rewatchability itself. But like, I loved this movie the first time I saw it because of the twist. But rewatching it a second time definitely has changed that.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that more in depth later. But I guess then we can just move right on to what is it? Quotes next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have that many quotes, but I had like one or two.
There weren't I mean, I could already think of which ones you're gonna have. But
Yeah.
One of the ones that I just found, which was funny because while I was waiting for you to get ready, I just put on like the back half of the movie. And when her and John are at like that dance or that club or whatever, and then they leave, and he's like, "You want to go somewhere else?" She's like, "Yes, but I can't have boys over." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she's like, "So you'll have to be quiet." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it's like holy crap. Talk about speaking for him. It's like, bro, if that ever happened to me, I'd just be sitting there like, all right. It's like, all right, you just planned out that entire thing. Way to play. You did that.
Yeah, so like literally, we've all been there before. It's like, oh, all right. So I just can appreciate that. But you said you had a few written down.
I mean, the fucking stupid joke that guy gave used on them in like in the beginning of the movie, where it's like, my dick died. Can I bury it in your arse or something like that? That was.
That's vile. That is vile.
Yes, I heard it and I was like, damn, bro, that's horrifying. That's hideous. I wonder if that's ever worked for him, because I'd like to believe that.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I like to believe that it didn't. What's another one? I mean, obviously the one where she's talking about where she's like, oh, like, where she's talking about like going back to prison. She's like, oh, I can't go to prison. I've been in a prison all my life or something like that. That was how I fucked with that. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I had written down. No, I think that's really it. I mean, like that whole. Like it was a great scene, like we've been talking about, like that whole when the plot twist is revealed and they have like that conversation with each other, and it's kind of like that, like the curtain being pulled away per se, and I enjoyed it, but I wish it would have been longer. I wish it would have been like more, not predictable, just more like rewarding would be a word I would be looking for. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, like you said, like her saying stuff like, you could say Sandy died in that room. She died in that room 100 times. Like it definitely it meant something. But like you said, we didn't get too much. We've been saying it the whole time. We don't get too much in between the clues to the reveal where we can actually like feel too much of an impact. Also, yes, I did find the drunk student quote. Said, "Excuse me, miss, my dick just died. Can I bury it in your ass?"
Classic.
Hideous.
Okay.
But I guess that's pretty much it for that. You can just go right into yeah-ites, which there are plenty.
Yeah, it's basically just comes down to how picky you want to be with a movie like this.
Yeah, so I know you have probably the most because of seeing it for the first time. So
yeah. The first one is just this is like the smallest. I guess I'll start small and I'll go big. It's like, where's she getting these racks from, bro? She's tossing racks. She's just buying. She's just getting freaking deposits 2 months. She's getting a house like the same day. It's like, isn't she from the country? It's like, where's she
Uh,
getting these racks from?
I think her grandmother.
Yeah, no, I was just more. I just kind of a little note I jotted down just because, like, I don't know, city's expensive no matter where you go.
I mean, it's London too.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Another one was, it's weird how like sometimes she's in Sandy's body to the point where she's the reflection of her.
And sometimes she sees the third person perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense
exactly.
to me either.
Yeah, like I thought that was definitely weird to me. And then like the whole,
I think that the way that it's supposed to be, she's always seeing it in the third person perspective. However, oh no, because she sees herself as Sandy.
yeah, because like there's shots where they're both in the same room together. Like I feel like the whole point is that they'd only ever see each other through a mirror, and then it's like how was Sandy aware that she was being like basically watched or whatever was going on? Because then you had that one scene where she like screamed like "get off me" or something like that to
Eloise.
what's it? Eloise, yeah, and she gets like pushed back and stuff. Like it definitely is
Raining in the
yeah
alley, right? Yeah.
yeah. I just think the movie definitely isn't as literal as it shows itself to be. If I think it where it's like all these scenes where like stuff is
We're picking it out too much.
yeah, like it's definitely not as literal as like her like being because like you can tell like when they're not in like specific areas, like when they're just like outside or something. I feel like that's not really like the same vibe, like the same like realism or the same like literalness of like all right, like seeing her. I don't know, it's weird. And then like how is she seeing Sandy, like just by staying in that place? Like I don't know. Like that, yeah, like that's supernatural. It's like obviously, like every horror has like roots in something that doesn't make sense. But like, at least explain it. It's like I'm not asking for it to make sense in the real world. I'm just asking for it to make sense in
the universe.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I was gonna say. Like, that's all I really need. Like I said, they could have just been as simple as, oh, you've been drugged the entire time, or oh, I don't know, literally anything.
No, I can agree with you on that. There's definitely I don't want to say plot holes because they're not plot holes.
Yeah,
But just things that needed to be explained that weren't, which
yeah.
again is just written off as the supernatural aspect of the movie. But as someone who is also very interested in the supernatural aspect
Yeah.
of the movie, I want to know how that works.
Exactly. It's like you're in a friggin' fiction world. You're in a bubble. You can just say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, and no one's gonna be like, "Oh, this isn't real life," because it's fucking a movie. That's a horror movie. So it's like double like excluded from the rule of making sense. So it's like, all right,
no horror movie ever makes any sense.
exactly, because you have movies like fucking from the same director, like Shaun Dead. Like that movie is absolutely absurd. Like there is by no means that movie is meant to be taken like seriously or anything like that. Like it's more of like a like there's so I don't know. It's like I would have just liked to see either not take itself as seriously or like really go a little bit more in depth to explain what the hell's going on. Because definitely as someone who's maybe even a first time watcher of the director, like I could definitely see someone coming out of this movie being like, "What did I just watch?"
Yeah. See, and that was kind of what I was worried about telling you, that not to know anything about this for the first time, is you coming into it and being like, all right, what the fuck is this? Because I can see why people would say that, because it can be very confusing. However, if once you get past that and actually look at the story itself, it's actually really good.
Because it was starting to make sense to me towards the middle part. I'm like, okay, Sandy's her mother, so that's how she sees her.
That's what I thought at first.
Yeah, it's like Sandy's her mother. That guy straight up ask her, "Who's your mother? You remind me of somebody." Literally right there. I'm like, all right, so this is fucking Sandy is her mother, and that's why she killed herself.
I think it was the point was to try to.
Oh, okay, the parallels. Okay, okay. Because like I was like I had it like I felt like I was the fucking Sherlock Holmes. I felt like I had that case all wrapped up, and then it's like it made sense in the context. Like all right, so maybe they called it a suicide, but obviously the like fucking Jack was like he was done with her shit. So I mean you could make it look like a suicide, something like that. So, like that's why there's so much mystery around it, but. Them taking the path of it being just a landlord, a little weird.
No, there was, like you said, storyboard wise, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely some more development that could have been done to make this even better.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I'll say is more of just like just a character thing in general. Is like I don't know if I believe Eloise would stay in London after that. I don't
No,
think she would. I don't
no.
think she would. I don't think she whatever her dreams are. Because I feel like the whole point of the movie is London's fucking slimy. It's not just. It's just like the city in general. Like when you have a congregation of people like that invites crime and violence and fucking big materialism and stuff like that, you're gonna have that kind of freaking result. So
Yeah.
like, I feel like the movie's kind of like the same thing as like what's that movie we did with fucking Gatsby, where like it's literally just a period piece on how decadent and like how like actually like how gilded it was, where like it's just fucking fake gold, but it
Yeah,
kind of like, it kind of goes back on itself by being like, all right, so this place is a shithole and all these terrible things happened, but she's doubling back to do her fashion show. Like,
I can agree with that too. I don't think she would have stayed. I can understand her making the like fashion after
mhm.
after that period still to show like she overcame this or
Yeah,
it was a big portion of her character
yeah,
development in London. But I agree. I don't think she would have stayed. But then again, maybe now that she
yeah,
overcame it, she figured it
yeah.
out. She's like, all right, now I can stay. Like
But
now I
we didn't see that.
agreed. Like we literally went from her getting carted off in an ambulance
Yeah.
to the fashion show at the end.
hmm Yeah, but that's really all I have for. Like, I'm not trying to violate that bad.
Yeah, I said mine before or also already with just Lindsay
Yeah.
just said he was a cop,
hmm
but that's about it.
Yeah, because I was gonna start talking about like the hickey and stuff, but I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's kind of roping into that same level where it's like it's about how much you interpret it, and I think like the movie isn't meant to be interpreted like straight blow for like what's happening to like what it actually means. I get that, but I don't know. My
Yeah.
headphones doing this.
What?
No, we're good. My
Oh.
headphones were fucking stupid quiet for a reason.
Oh.
A second.
But now that we're done with that, DL, I think you know what time it is.
Oh yeah. Oh, you the swinging '60s,
Oh
baby.
boy.
Oh yeah, we got ourselves a show, and let me tell you something about the main actress of the movie. She got milk. She
Which
got
one?
milk.
Oh, the Eloise.
Yeah, she got milk.
That is that shirt she's wearing at the end.
I'm not even saying anything. I'm just looking at the camera right now.
Oh, and then of course her co-lead, Anya. Ah!
Yes, volume warning for anybody. Volume warning for anyone, and it's too late by now. But
Oops.
yeah,
Anya.
yeah. I mean,
That's all I gotta
yeah,
say. Just Anya.
yeah, fabulous. That one scene when like they're all dancing on stage, like in the '60s, where they're wearing like that revealing clothing, like just all of them. Anya was looking nice, as usual. Surprise.
Something about Anya's face, just the way she be looking.
Just the way she be freaking like,
Moving.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if I had to give it to one person particularly, I would give it to Anya Joy Taylor, specifically the scene when they're all dancing, when she's like the backup dancer, when they're all dancing.
Anya Taylor Joy is my thirsty moment of the movie.
Absolutely,
But Eloise do got milk.
that's true. That's a good little footnote. She got
Yes.
milk.
She got milk. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah,
Say. Anya.
yeah.
Just go take a peek at Anya. That's all you need to see.
Yeah, you can watch any of her movies. It's not a scene in particular. It's
Just go look at Anya. Oh fuck. Where's my phone at? God damn it.
Time to move over to the question of the week, where we asked.
Don't make another fucking thing.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. For a little background for anyone new, if you are, we ask you guys over on our Instagram at the Staincast. The topic of the question is, to be honest, whatever the hell we think matches with the movie, or just in general would kind of give you guys like just give us more insight into what you guys like. So we ask questions like, I don't know, what's your favorite color? Well, okay, we don't actually ask that, but it would be something general, or we can ask something specific like, oh, who's your favorite character in this movie? Usually we do the more movie specific ones. Yeah, usually we do the ones more movie related on like more popular movies. Like we do it a lot in MCU, Staincast, stuff like that.
Yes. But this week, as I very, very, very longly tapped through, make sure you're following us at the Staincast on Instagram if you're not. Let's go all the way. Hold on, I'm still in October, November, December.
You gotta do the double fingers.
Nope. And we're here. So, this week, we asked you guys what your favorite movie plot twist was. Of course, going after going after this movie, having plot twists at the
Mhm.
end. Y'all are slacking this week though, because only 4 of you responded, and one was CMO-ho.
Soft, especially when something like this is so easy.
There's like literally any of you could have just said Vader being Luke's father or Vader being Anakin, and I would have been satisfied. But none of you said it. None of you. Not a single one.
This is me when nobody answers the question of the week on a gamey question like that.
That's true. That's true. But like I said, we did get some responses, including from someone who likes to answer every week, RP24, also known as not to be confused with Chet West Stable. He said The Mist, when the guy kills his whole family, and then the soldiers come not even 2 minutes later to save the day after he has no bullets, which was a change from the book to the movie. Which him and I talked about this when he made this comment. This was great. Like, this is a great choice for it, and The Mist is another one of my top 10 favorite horror movies. So
I gotta make a jot down because I don't think I've seen that one.
you haven't seen The Mist? The Mist
is it an older movie?
Early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
It's
good.
good.
There's a good stream. There's a good like time period where for some reason like I look up horror movies. I'm like, how have I not seen this? How have I not seen that? I look, it's like anywhere like in that 2000s area, like early 2000s, because like horror has been pretty reputationally bad.
Yeah. I was getting to like 2018-ish. That's when it really started to get back good to.
Man, this last year and a half. Goodness gracious, bro! It's been on a fucking tear.
I haven't seen it, but Smoke told me that Infinity Pool was pretty good. I don't know if you saw it with him.
It's a fever dream, man. I don't know how to describe this. Someone who's seen it for the first time, it's like it's very similar to Midsummer, where like you finish the movie and it's like, what just happened? Exactly. It's like, all right. It's like you just go from like, it's one of those movies where like the beginning of the movie you're at one place and towards the end of the movie you're like, how far we've come.
Okay.
Where it's like, but it's
got Mia Goth in it, so I'm already excited on that. But
she's feasting in the limelight now. All over that.
This our theater isn't getting it, so I have to wait to watch it, and I'm kind of tight.
Yeah. It's also got, what's his name? The friggin'
Skarsgård.
Yeah, I was gonna say friggin' the Skarsgård, the boys.
Anyways, as we were saying, the question of the week, Willie B said last night in Soho, which I don't know if he was saying it because he actually liked it or if he was just saying it because of the movie. But either way, we'll
take it.
Yeah, there's good plot twists in this. Olivia Jones, she said the husband never being alive in the movie Adrift. She was talking to me about this because I was at her house when I posted. Apparently, it's this movie where there's I think it's a boat crash or she's stranded on an island or something like that, and her husband's injured or sick and she's taking care of him, and then at the end of the movie she gets rescued. And it turns out her husband has been dead this whole time.
Well, those are some of my favorite plot twists in movies. That's a before I friggin' walk over Joe's, because Joe's is ridiculous anyways. There's a Criminal Minds episode that's similar to that.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
That's a really good episode. Like when they get him at the end and it's like, oh, don't hurt my family or something, and it's literally nobody in the car with him. That shit's fire.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that shit's done. And then they go to the house and his kids and family are all dead and they've been dead for like months.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah. And then, Joe, when the boyfriend walks in.
What a plot twist.
Yeah, great plot twist, Joe.
Come on.
But thank you guys who did answer. For those of you who did, we know who skips the story and I know where you all live.
If you love your mother and father, don't skip the next story. I see who fucking skips. Damn it.
Repost that shit while you're at it.
Yeah.
But of course, stay tuned for this Saturday, or we'll be posting another question over that way.
Mm-hmm.
DL disappeared.
I'm still here. Don't worry.
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
It's all right. All right. So my favorite plot twist in movies is going to go to The Usual Suspects, because that shit's cold. That shit is so... Anyone who's seen it, they know that shit's cold. Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a polarizing figure nowadays for obvious reasons, but as a actor himself, not the person, He is a fucking phenomenal actor. This guy also did Baby Driver, by the way. Speaking of this, Kevin Spacey, the guy who did Last Night in Soho, he did Baby Driver also. I
Yes, he
didn't
did.
know if you knew. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Another, whatever. Kevin Spacey's a phenomenal fucking actor. And the whole thing with him being, I mean, I don't really want to spoil. I mean, this movie's been out for fucking 40 years, so I'm going to spoil it. The whole thing with him being Kaiser Soze, and when he's walking out with his fake limp, and then he just transitions into walking straight, and that detective's running it through his head and realizing that he's literally just told an entire story based on items in his office.
Mm-hmm.
Chef's kiss. Talk about a fucking. It's just one of the things where, obviously, it's a long movie, and honestly, the movie itself is a little all over the place sometimes. Just watch The Usual Suspects, Kevin Spacey, Kaiser Soze, and you will not regret it. You don't need to watch the movie. That shit cold.
That shit is very cool.
What about you? What you got?
So, I've been thinking about this one for a while because there's none that like stand with me memorability wise.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do the classic, where's Anakin Vader, because I knew that beforehand because fucking we grew up so far after that came out. So I think I'm actually going to give it to them killing Thanos at the beginning of Endgame.
I like that.
Because
that's followed by the 5 years later. Like, that's
because like, and in Infinity War, watching that for the first time, I knew they were going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just, we knew that was going to happen. He was going to get the stone snap, and then we were going to get, we knew that. But then I just remember vividly for the first time going to see that movie with Mumbarella. We're sitting next to each other. They just kill Thanos, and then it's just 5 years later. We're looking at each other. We're like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
what the actual fuck?" Like that. I don't even know if you can consider that a plot twist. I guess it is.
Yeah, why not?
But it's just that shit threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I have a couple other honorable mentions just because there is. I just looked up plot twist movies because I knew I was forgetting some. Shutter Island, fucking fantastic plot twist, really good. The Prestige by Christopher. I think it's Christopher Nolan. No, it's not Christopher Nolan. It's someone else. It's freaking. No, it is Christopher Nolan. Yep, The Prestige by Christopher Nolan. Yeah, he did. That one has a really good plot twist, and that the best part about that plot twist is like it's so obvious once you've seen it. I mean, that's Christopher Nolan classic, right?
I was gonna say Tenet. Yeah. Tenet has a great plot twist.
Fight Club is another honorable mention I'll give too.
I forgot about fucking Fight Club.
This is why we don't talk about it too. This way, I mean, because we don't talk about Fight Club, so obviously it didn't come to your head.
Of course, you're right. But thank you guys so much for answering.
Do better next week. Do better.
We'll hopefully have another one.
You wimps!
I don't have to find a hiding spot to smoke my stogie.
Like you.
But DL takes to the numbers.
To the numbers we go. All right. So this one, it kind of looks like a normal distribution. Like you have the highest at 30% at 7. So let me back up. This movie, 142,000 people, we'll just round up to 143. 140,000 people voted, and they gave it an average score of a 7.1 out of 10. I don't think that's bad. I'd probably put myself somewhere in that range. Maybe a little bit lower depending on like how critical I want to be of the movie. I think this movie definitely has a certain level of like the more suspended suspended disbelief you lean into, the more you can kind of just relax and enjoy it. I mean, I've only seen this movie once, so of course take that with a grain of salt. But jumping in, 7% of people gave it a 10. 10% of people gave it a 9. And then right here is the biggest chunk that you'll see, the 876, which accounts for almost freaking everything. It was at the 45, 60%. 60% of the movie's reviews came 6, 7, or 8. I think it's pretty reasonable. Anything beyond that, you're kind of just starting to get to the outliers and stuff like that. Another one here. Nothing too surprising to me looking at it. These ones are 28 people, so that's not going to count.
I think this movie's rated R anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So next time you need to let your parents know you're watching this movie. Sillies.
Leave reviews for it.
Yeah. So the highest rated one is going to be, we'll do both since like these are both pretty 4,000 out of 14,000 and 14,000. Yeah, okay. So the highest was going to be tied for people our age, 18 to 29, male and female. They gave it the highest review, not surprising, and popular actresses. Um, People are like, I feel like younger people are more inclined to horror just because, like, I don't know, for reasons
They're
I
more
can't.
disassociated to violence and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like it doesn't really drop that much, especially for women. It really stays pretty consistent. So
I mean,
there
for
isn't
the
much to
under
report on.
18 that gave it a 5.7 is
Yeah,
ridiculously weird and random.
yeah.
But
28 whole people did it. Yeah. So there's not that much too much to talk about. You guys can see it. Nothing. No head scratchers. Nothing like, oh, this movie is a freaking 100%.
no, it's pretty averagely distributed, like I would
Yeah.
expect it to be for a movie like this.
Yep. Movie came out in 2021, so it's it's semi recent, especially as horrors go. Like horrors kind of just like are so weird where they can come out a bunch of years go by, then just no one recognizes, then all of a sudden it should become super popular in mainstream culture.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, but so we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for this movie, but I think just the lack of like um, it's not a very satisfying like
Lack
a
of
care.
substance.
Yeah, yeah. So let me get us out of here. But yeah, that's the numbers for you guys. But with those numbers aside, let's go to some numbers that really matter, Stephen Hagg.
Of course, of course, of course. Our numbers, our ratings. We take out the book as usual. Now, we're starting off with already a rough one, which I think you could probably have assumed
Yeah,
based on how we were talking about this story slash
yeah,
writing. I gave it a 2. I think that the story itself is really good. Like we've been saying this whole time, jot down on paper the storyboards, the plot points. It's really good,
hmm
but those ways that they take you throughout to get from point A to point B is very loose, very discombobulated, very rushed.
yeah,
And the character development and the characters themselves take a very strong hit to that as well.
yeah. I agree. I give it a 2 also, and I'm in the same camp as you. We've been talking about it for the last 50, 60 minutes, so I don't have too much to add on that.
Yeah, it's a great story on paper, but it wasn't executed to the best degree.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to go next?
Yeah. So for acting, this one was tough for me. I was kind of almost leaning into a 4, but I think it just doesn't have that all time Logan level. Like just to give an example of the last thing I gave a 4 to, like it's just not in that same category. I'm sorry to the actors and actresses, but it's just not hitting me like that. Unfortunately, it's not. It doesn't got me bawling my eyes out or fucking really like thinking about my life or any of the usual things that come with a really strong performance.
Yeah. I mean, I have it at a 3 as well. I think Anya Taylor-Joy. I think that what is the actress's name that plays Eloise?
Keep forgetting her name. It's a Scottish name. Something like that.
Thomasin McKenzie.
Yeah, Thomas.
Like her, Matt Smith. They do great jobs, but like it's really just the 3 of them. The rest of the actors are just kind of there. They don't do a bad job, but they don't do anything spectacular either. And there's no standout phenomenal performance. Like I just think that these 3 main actors are putting on good performances for what I'm used to seeing them in. It's not like Matt Smith's putting on Damon levels of acting in this
Absolutely.
movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's like a baseline where it's like it's not something I'm gonna be like, oh, he didn't do a good job, but it's not something where I'm like, all right, this is his greatest performance in all of his projects, especially when he did fucking Doctor Who and shit like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I give it a 3 for acting. If you want to jump us into originality.
Originality, this was something I was a little back and forth on as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many movies. I don't want to say similar to this, but I also don't want to say not similar to this.
Yeah.
Like it's in a very weird point where I feel like it takes so many elements from other movies, like so many different elements from so many different types of movies, and mashes them together into its own.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think I'm going to give this for originality a 2 as well.
Yeah, I was kind of flip-flopping too because I was in the same boat you are, where like at its core, it's like a trauma story, right? But there is more elements, like you said, added into it, where you have all of a sudden this plot twist at the end. We have her mother committing suicide. We have her grandmother Like it was just like her history of like, I mean, if her mother has that kind of like mental health problems, like maybe it reflects on her. Like it's always in the back of our mind where there's a lot of, it's a very like a heavy-handed kind of movie where there's a lot of themes being dealt with,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't think a lot of them like the middle, like the first part of the movie is like, all right, it kind of starts to take shape, and then as soon as you get to the end, it's like how much actually stayed, if that makes sense. Like how much was actually like like kind of like went full circle is
Yeah,
the best word to describe. So I'd give it a 2 also. I think it's a good spot.
absolutely. Now, I already said before that I wanted to talk more about this when we got to
Hmm.
rewatchability,
Yeah.
but for rewatchability, I gave it a 1. Um,
Okay.
Once I knew the plot twist of this movie, rewatching it a second time, I don't want to say it wasn't interesting, but I think that just watching them so close together also just really
Hmm.
didn't. It kind of hindered it for me. I already knew what was going on. I already knew what the big plot twist was, and then all that extra stuff that we were talking about that didn't need to be added into the movie really
Hmm.
stuck itself out.
Yeah.
Just because
They.
I already knew what was
Mhm.
happening. That it just all the other details came out more.
Yeah, like the honeymoon phase is over, so it's like now towards the end of the movie, like, all right, so what was the point of her mother besides just being like that conflicting, like that trauma? Like, obviously, I get the whole point, but I feel like her, so like there was, and it's more than just her mother too, like with the whole hickey being on her neck thing. I just feel like there were so many things that they tossed in just for the sake of like looking
Awesome.
good. Yeah, exactly, for the sake of like the scene looking good and being, oh, it's poetic or something, but it just doesn't translate for me. So I agree with you. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 2 just because I've only seen it once, but I can definitely see
It changing.
that's yeah, exactly. I can see it changing, but I can also see um, those same problems you mentioned being apparent to me. Because even on the first watch, I kind of like. I mean, whenever I watch stuff for the Staincast, I always have my specs on. I have my like. But I look a little bit deeper into the movies compared to just just putting it on and being on my phone half the time or playing games half the time. Like I'm watching. I'm actively watching it. So
Yeah, that's
there's a
the
lot of
point of these
yeah,
episodes.
absolutely, yeah. So like I'll keep it at 2. I don't see myself watching it in the future just because if I wanted to see like a plot twist or like super trauma, I feel like I do Shutter Island. I feel like Shutter Island is just the best of both worlds. Like it kind of has the same elements of like loss and like just overall confusion and like just disoriented. Like the main character's disoriented kind of.
Yeah.
And I feel like Shutter Island. I mean, okay, it's Leo, so of course it's a little unfair to
Also,
this actress. It's unfair to this actress, of course, because Leo is of course that man. So, but that's just my 2 cents on it. Where it's like if you're comparing, if you're looking around for a movie, I couldn't recommend this over something like Shutter Island.
yeah. And then I guess if you want to finish us off with cinematography, which I'm sure we all can guess where this is going to be.
Yeah, I was going between a 3 and a 4, but I think I'd just give it a 4, just because like I think that really is
The
it
biggest
carries
draw.
all the burden. Yeah, and it carries all the burden of all the other stuff. Like if this movie wasn't shot as well as it was, I could definitely see myself coming down harsh on it. But I can kind of let it go because I really do like the whole lights, like that red, blue, white, like with that deli, with the bistro deli right beside her. Like I feel like there was a lot of cool stuff going on. I almost felt like I'm not sure because I didn't really look this up, but I feel like whenever she was like dreaming, it was only ever red light that was on her face, and it wasn't the 3 colors. I could be wrong with
Mhm.
that, but that's at least what I noticed because I was trying to kind of understand because like obviously the lights were used for a reason, so I'm not sure, but I'd
Yeah,
give it a
no, I
4.
agree with you there. I gave it a 4. Like we were saying before, the colors are done really well. The
Yeah,
shots were between the editing, some things like CGI blood. It's CGI blood. There's nothing you can really change
yeah,
about that. It's still going to look awful. But that the movie being shot and looking as well as it did is one of its biggest draw-ins of why I would recommend this to someone because of how
absolutely.
well it looks, as well as you get a pretty decent to good story along with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. So that puts it at a last night in Soho at a 13 out of 20 for me.
That puts it at a 12 out of 20 for me.
Yeah, and I
So
think that sounds about right for me. I mean, it's
yeah,
it, well, without repeating myself, I think by far the biggest takeaway from this movie is that it's a very well shot movie, and the story has so much potential. But I mean, potential doesn't mean anything if it doesn't fulfill itself. So it's
agreed.
unfortunate.
And like I said, it definitely hinders if you haven't watched it already. I think it's at least worth one watch. But if it's
It's at
something
least
that
a
you've already
consideration.
exactly. But if it's something you've already seen, you could skip on it. But if you're interested in
Yeah.
at least the actors or have any interest in just the thing in general, you maybe saw a commercial and thought it looked cool, at least give it a peek because
Yeah.
you might enjoy it.
Yeah.
But of course, as usual, thank you guys for tuning in. We have no guests, so I can't thank them this week. Don't forget if you're
Thank you for
listening.
coming, guest.
Yes, thank you. Don't forget if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, etc. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, don't forget to leave us a little review.
Ring that bell.
Yes, ring the bell so you
That
get
doesn't look.
notified. Follow us on Instagram at the Staincast, where at that profile you all see the question of the week on Saturday, all of our wonderful reels, as well as the link in our bio for our merch shop. Stay tuned for new merch dropping within the next month. And of course, don't forget to come back next week where we will be covering on the MCU Staincast Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and of course, doing our usual wrap-ups since it will be the official end of Phase 4.
Yeah, definitely tap in for that one. That one's going to be a good one. For sure.
Yeah.
We're going to have some guests on. We're going to be doing, like you said, the end of awards. We haven't done them in a while, so maybe we'll add some stuff. Maybe we'll get rid of some stuff. Stay tuned.
Yes, definitely excited to see you guys there, and we'll see you then.
Kisses.